there, Buttercups. Your resident Teabelle here. Welcome to Hark, 'tis the Teabelle. Let's dive in for that tea today, huh? So we've already discussed Black Friday. Well, there are two other holidays, and I say that in quotations, for the shopping season for Christmas. And one of them is called Small Business Saturday. And to be fair, it's probably exactly what you think it is. But we're going to dive into the origin story of it, of the when, the why, the if, and everything, right? All of it. So now we're going to define it first. It's an annual holiday encouraging shoppers to explore their small business community. Now, something you all may or may not know is that the small business community is full of extremely hardworking, motivated individuals, and most of them are amazing. Okay, now you're gonna have your bad apples, but that happens with any industry. We know this. So running a small business, though, it's takes grueling work, but it is so satisfying. And I'll admit that from experience, it takes full participation. There's always something to do. You could have that as your full-time job or a second thing you do. It's still going to take just as much energy and time whether you are working for something else or not, which means you just have to get used to trying to divide your energy. Just saying. Because you could be planning or creating in your inventory for the paperwork, which it should be on point. You need your paperwork on point because as a small business, if you were to get audited, you are going to be in far more dire straits than, say, a big conglomerate. But however you do your paperwork, however it works, in my experience, in my opinion, I'm a note taker. Just saying. Now, you could sell in person or online, and whether they're both difficult, they both have their things. But in person, woo, that's the things to do in person are ridiculous sometimes. So when I say that, I mean, well, first you have to talk and converse with the event host. Okay, you have to get into these events, which can sometimes be easy and they can be harder. They can have fees that you may or may not make back, but you still have to take the chance. But then you get to the event. You have to find your spot. You have to put up that canopy because you need some protection from the elements above you, okay? Whether it's the sun, potential rain, whatever. And then, of course, it is to offer distinction to your product because what color is your canopy? Do you have a banner? That kind of thing. Then, of course, you need to set up the inventory because people need to be able to browse. Now, there are people and there are pairs where one person does the setup and the other just kind of gets their stuff set up. But I digress. And then from there, you spend whatever time you have trying to converse. Even if you can't sell, you're trying to converse and relate and just speak to these customers and maybe eventual friends, which can happen. Trust me. Trust me. But you go through this event, you end up figuring out at the end when you get home what you made. But before you can get home, you have to break down the canopy after you put all your inventory away, and then your tires all get out. But it is such a satisfying experience when you can come home and say, hey, we not only helped ourselves, but we helped others. We gave others an opportunity to get a gift or get them something or even just converse with people to give them a moment, whatever the case might be. So it is definitely worth it, y'all. It is definitely worth it. And so this Saturday is the Saturday following Black Friday. Right. And so there actually was a history. They wanted to call it Black Saturday, but they did change it to Small Business Saturday. And I think that's a little bit smarter, honestly. Now, who was who was the person or entity to launch this campaign? American Express. On November 27th, 2010, American Express wanted to help small businesses gain exposure, inspire customers to shop well within their own communities during the holiday season. So, 2011 hits, and Washington state mayors, governors, senators, and President Obama shared their support for Small Business Saturday by it becoming creating an official holiday in 2011. So essentially in 2011, upper people said, "Hey, this is great. Let's do it. It's a holiday." In 2012, they it was amplified by American Express by helping small business owners promote the businesses. So now they were offering small personalized ads to spread across the internet and attract new customers for free. 2012, it is estimated 5.5 billion was spent at new small businesses nationwide, which means that this was on track to be something big, right? By 2013, it was more celebrated, and people were now pledging support to their local businesses and organizations. 2015, just a mere 2 years after, excuse me, just a mere 2 years after this pledging increased, it went up another 8% to more than 95 million people supporting this day. And now, what does that mean for the spending, right? It reached $16.2 billion in 2015. This means that it just continually rises, guys. It continually increases. In 2023, it was speculated that $17 billion was spent at small businesses on this day. Now, we're in 2025, so you can only imagine it's probably gone up since then. Now, we know why we should shop small. Because, don't get me wrong, when you only have Walmart as your option or a bigger conglomerate, that's fine. But when you have the ability, you're not just supporting people buying, say second or third house or something that just maybe isn't necessary. These small businesses, you're funding a family. You're funding the way they live. You're funding them, allowing them to continue to create and do the thing that they may love. And at the end of this, right, they're gonna go home with this level of satisfaction that you're not aware of because you don't see the inside of this. You just see what they present. Now, when this Small Business Saturday hits this year, which is November 29th, 2025, find your small businesses, guys. Just even if you just talk to them. I will be honest with you when I say, even if you can't always buy, if you just say, "Hey, how you doing?" That's a great thing. I want you to know, because sometimes you can sit there for hours without even being noticed. And yeah, you need the money, but it feels worse to be ignored continually by everybody. Even if you are being acknowledged. Even if you were to politely say, "I can't get anything, but how are you? I hope you have a good day." At the end of it, that's what happens, right? Now, why else should you shop small besides funding the family, their creative endeavors, whatever the case is, right? Well, what you're going to find is probably going to be handmade, small batches, which means it's limited edition, and sometimes they may be altogether a one of a kind piece, right? And it may be a service that you can't really just find on the internet. That could be a potential too. You could find a baked good, or there's so much you could possibly find. And you could also find friendship. And true story, I have one, about three people that I consider some of my closest friends, all because I made a relationship with them. I chose to create a relationship with them besides just what we were selling. And plus the love of dogs, and that is why I am friends with two of them. Thanks, Sky. But I digress. I digress. Back to the small business Saturday. It's just big box stores are understandably they have a understandably okay. Nothing is wrong with shopping there, and sometimes that's your only option. But if you can support the small business, I would definitely recommend that you do it. Okay, make friends with them, because the thing is that they can push you to other people that you didn't even know existed, and it's really really cool to know. To know, because you may find something you never knew you needed. Trust and believe. I have met my fair share of different businesses where they literally do they can do similar items, but the way they do it is different, and the way they do it is unique to them, and you still absolutely love it. But as a conclusion for Small Business Saturday, go out, check it out, get a snack if there's food around there, and just support people who take the time to give you these wonderful things, because it is an extremely it's extremely energy taking. And I'll explain. I worked a 9 to 5 job, which was fine. I had no problem with that. But as soon as I got home, Monday through pretty much all week, we might have one day where we didn't have to do something. But as the administrative brain, I did the paperwork. That means I updated the paperwork from the prior weekend. Then we would make the inventory list, which I would need to, have completed for my partner then. And then of course there's, the labels and such that you create. And then you have to figure out where you're going to sell, when you're going to sell, and then that takes the rest of your week, whether it's making sure you have everything ready, um planning, getting the word out there, like this is where we're going to be, setting your schedule, updating your social media if you have it, and then on the weekend is when you actually sell. So yeah, you might get to sleep in on Saturday because you don't sell till 3, but you're falling asleep, you're dead asleep on the couch at 8:30 Friday night, because on one of your rare days that you're not selling, and you're just passed out because you're so tired. Now, that does not include that the person making the inventory, especially if it's a baked good, where there's the baking up process of it all, the packaging, and then let's not forget, like I said in the beginning, the canopy, the setup of getting where you are, and then of course there's the note taking. There's so much to this. Again, take your time if you have it. If you can or want to make friends, go for it. At the end of the day, you won't regret it. I absolutely promise. So we have already talked about Black Friday, Small Business Saturday. Now we're moving to Cyber Monday. Let's define that. It was first coined by the National Retail Foundation in 2005 by Ellen Davis, who was a senior vice president of research and strategic initiatives. Now, Cyber Monday is the day of sales falling on the Monday after Thanksgiving. Now, based on the name, I'm sure you know what part of the sales it incorporates, right? But why did they implicate this? Why did they coin this, right? So the NRF noticed the reoccurring spike in sales on Monday following Thanksgiving. They noticed that people would continue their holiday shopping online while at work. This was because the internet was faster at work than at home typically. Now, it was also easier to keep the gifts more of a surprise for the kids because you didn't actually have it on hand just yet, right? This was seen as a driving force to boost sales during the holiday season. Black Friday is intense, extremely intense. The intensity has led to the endangering of retail workers. Sadly, in 2008, a Walmart employee was trampled to death when nearly 2,000 shoppers stormed into the store as it opened early. The challenges that Black Friday brought to the scene were actually an advantage for Cyber Monday, though. Now, instead of fighting crowds, people were choosing to shop the online promotions, allowing them to be able to participate in Black Friday deals who might not otherwise be able to do it. Now, you have to remember this was also during the COVID pandemic, which meant you weren't really allowed that many people in a place at one time, anyways. So instead of fighting crowds, you were doing getting what you needed easier. And this kind of just helped push it, right? In 2023, it had been stated that Americans spent more than $9 billion, making it the biggest e commerce sales day in the country. Just like Black Friday has expanded Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday has also expanded to Cyber Week. Okay? Now, granted, there are some challenges that you might encounter with these cyber deals, right? So you have to be very precise in the execution of these deals because if you're not careful, it could lead to issues if you're not careful. Now, there's also the prior months of planning. You have to remember there's the website, mobile optimization, payment systems being secure, prepping for the increased digital traffic, and you have to know that someone is going to be on hand for these issues because if a website say I am not this is not my forte, but it's just an example, okay? I.e., if a website gets 2,000 hits a day normal, can you imagine what they're going to get if you have a Cyber Monday deal? It could be well into the tens of thousands, potentially, or even just way more, and that their site is not ready for it. It hurts their business altogether. So these are the challenges that you probably will experience being in this, right? So, and I have to imagine that there are test runs to see if the optimization, the safe payments, the extra foot traffic the digital traffic is going to, how it's going to impact you. Now, we said that it was implemented, in 2005. So that would be 20 years now. All right. So Cyber Monday in 2005 began with $484 million made in sales. In 2006, it was catching on. And so consumers now saw this as the online version of Black Friday. In 2008, the first mobile commerce purchases start. In 2012, it is the biggest day for online sales for the first time. 2016, many retailers are extending their Cyber Monday sales into full weeks. All right, so 2020, Cyber Monday outpaced Black Friday in sales. And why is this? Dun, 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 the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2024, Cyber Monday sales hit $12.8 billion in the US and $49.7 billion globally. In 2024, retailers that used generative AI saw 2% higher conversion rates during Cyber Week, which I get because AI probably was helping them sell more. But at the end of this, Black Cyber Monday is amazing to me that it essentially allows us to get the same deals that we wouldn't be able to get if we without going into the store. Now, internationally though, it is a big deal, just as big of a deal as it is to us. So, places such as Canada, the UK, and Japan still celebrate this, despite the fact that they don't celebrate Thanksgiving. But I can see that, in my opinion, at least, it's the beginning of the shopping holiday. Because if they celebrate Christmas or some, whether or not it's on the same day or they just have some form of it, this is where you go for it. This is start shopping. And they probably just saw other retailers over there probably just noticed as they were looking at the records probably that hey, it's it's a big that's going to make me money. So essentially, buttercups, what we're looking at is the fact that in order to get these deals, right, they made it so that everybody could get it because not everyone is going to be up at well before dawn on the Friday after Thanksgiving and go shopping in person. I personally cannot do it nowadays. And I feel old just saying that, but it's true. My anxiety will not allow me to have such a thing. I've done it once or twice and I'm over it. But that doesn't mean I don't want to get the good deals or that kind of thing. It just means I would much rather be, excuse me, go online, right? Because if you're selling me the same thing online that I can get that's pretty much the same deal, and if the shipping is free, I'm good. I mean, I don't have to go to the store. That means whoever is delivering it does stay active, whether it's UPS, USPS, Amazon, whatever the case is, people are still employed at that point. So you're still allowing and giving money to these businesses that employ others who put their money back into society. So either way, it is a win for whatever you need, right? So we talked about Small Business Saturday. I do highly encourage that if you can shop and buy from small businesses, do it. I also encourage that if you cannot, because sometimes the prices maybe aren't in your budget, or maybe you just don't have access, because that's a big thing. Maybe you don't have access to them in person because they don't sell online or whatever the case is. However you shop, do what you got to do, but keep in mind that small businesses are probably going to be having some, check them out too on these uh, Cyber Mondays. They may have something going on too. You never know. But otherwise, buttercups, to summarize, Cyber Monday, get your online deals if that is what you want. Buttercups, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And if you did, and you have comments or questions or even suggestions on what we should be talking about, which I would totally go for, you can email me at harktisthetebelle at gmail.com. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, and the Facebook. All right. But I hope you guys have a spectacular week, and I can't wait to see you next week.